right, our panelists today on the next slide. We're joined by Screencastify and NASA eClips. We're together today to bring you a webinar that we hope you find engaging and something that you definitely would do with your students. I'm Joan Harper-Neely, the STEM education specialist. And I think we're recording. I'm from the National Institute of Aerospace Center for Integrative STEM Education. Go ahead.
I'm Betsy McAllister. I am the educator in residence at the National Institute of Aerospace. So I work with Joan and Sharon, and I'm also the STEM teacher specialist in Hampton, Virginia with Hampton City Schools.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sharon Bowers, and I am the Senior STEM Education Specialist at the National Institute of Aerospace, the Center for Integrative STEM Education. Joan, Betsy, and I are the educators who are develop the educational resources we're going to be sharing with you this afternoon. And Sean, you're next.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Sean. I am the Partner Solutions Manager at Screencastify. Super fortunate to be joining Joan, Betsy, and Sharon tonight. My role at Screencastify is to really support school districts throughout the country to effectively use video inside and outside the classroom. And so this is a little bit of a new endeavor for Screencastify, and we could not think of a better partnership than these three folks on the call. So super excited to join you all. Prior to coming to Screencastify, I was a high school teacher, department chair, and middle school assistant principal. So we are hopefully going to teach you something new today.
So if we could launch the NASA eClips poll, if you guys could give us take the poll and just give us a little bit of information about what you know, how comfortable you feel with the NASA eClips educational resources. We would really appreciate that. And we're going to leave that poll up for about 30 seconds. Give everybody time to complete it. Okay, so about 35% of of you guys are not familiar or not comfortable with NASA eClips. We've got some that are kind of middle of the line. We've got some that seem very comfortable with it. So we're kind of spread out all over the map, and that's great. And we're so excited, both novice and experienced users of NASA eClips materials. We're just excited that you're here with us. So what I want to do very quickly is just give you a very high level overview of the NASA eClips resources. NASA eClips is a NASA supported project that creates educational resources to inspire learners in grades 3 through 12 primarily. We want them to become 21st century explorers. And NASA eClips was developed in 2008. And since that time, we have developed a nice repository of resources that explore STEM through the lens of NASA. And we find that in our conversations with users of NASA eClips, they've reported to us that they find the resources engaging, and they find them interactive. They are free. They're easily downloaded or used from the site on demand. So it makes it very easy for those to be integrated into formal lessons or into a non-formal learning environment. So if you look at if you look at the screen, we have our video resources grouped in grade bands. Our world is for grades 3 through 5. And in that, we are really trying to help students understand the difference between the science, the natural world, and engineering, the design world. Real world is for grades 6 through 8, and it has a math focus. Our NASA Launchpad videos are for grades 9 through 12, and those really focus on NASA technologies and innovations that are going to carry us into the future. We'll talk a little bit about Spotlight videos though today. Those are our student created videos. They're very short, 90 to 120 seconds, and they focus on a science misconception. We also have some educational guides, and you know, there are several different ones. We have our educator guides that follow the 5E format. They're very comprehensive lessons that show how our video segments can be used in the classroom. And then we have shorter lessons called our guide lights that really hone in and focus on one specific activity that can be used, and again, in formal, non-formal settings. We've recently redesigned our engineering design packets, and right now those are being field tested by students and teachers from across the country. So we're getting feedback on those, but those are basically open-ended packets that can be used with any engineering design challenge that you might have for your kids. We're here today to talk about the Spotlight Challenge, but the last resource I want to leave with you is our career connection videos. Those are very popular. They focus in on a particular NASA SME, and they, in a very short format, allows the subject matter expert to explain, you know, the journey that they took to get to where they are as a scientist or engineer at NASA.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm going to jump right in and talk about NASA Spotlights. And students can be effective science content creators. And video is one of the medium learners can use in science communication. So what is the NASA Spotlight Video Design Challenge? We ask students to design and create a video that engages other students in doing science activities that can help correct or clear up a misconception about a science topic. They are short, 90 to 120-second videos, no more than 2 minutes, that students write. They write the script, they do their own filming and editing, and then publish these videos. Working in teams is encouraged to produce the video because it helps students develop lots of skills, also these soft skills. It's also a good interdisciplinary project that utilizes the many skills and talents of a diverse group of students. So you can have students that are in a science class get all the information about science and make a little science notebook that includes the best way to demonstrate the science. Students in a writing class can use the creative writing skills and write a script that shows where in the real world would someone come across this science misconception, and they use characters to develop this dialogue. And then students in arts class or career and technical ed class can do the filming. So that's one way to do it. Of course, science teacher use this as, can use it as a performance assessment, and small groups of students in their classrooms can do it all, but it builds on lots of different skills. And here are some pictures of what it may look like in different settings. In the middle in particular is what we call a 2-column script. And I just wanted to highlight that to show that it's not a whole lot of writing. 2-minute video is about 200 words, but this is a good example of what you can expect students to do or what you can teach students to do in making a video.
So what might be some science misconceptions that you have dealt with in your classrooms? Take a moment, please, and chat in the box if there are certain topics that you know could be challenging for your students. The one that is depicted here is a cloud misconception, and we have currently on the website some cloud misconceptions, some misconceptions about the moon, some about Mars, but our place in space and that the sun moves. Yes, Sheila, that's definitely one of those ideas that's a challenge, especially when it's very difficult. We can't when we study things about Earth and space science, things are so large, it's hard for us to really have the kids experience firsthand. What other kinds of topics might be addressed? Oh my goodness, Sally, that causes of seasons. We know a lot of adults who don't know that one either. Science misconceptions and its different levels of understanding are the main focus for our NASA Spotlight videos. And the next slide will let you see some of those topics that we have already included within our work. There's different topics and they're organized within the website around earth science, life science, physical science, space science. And originally, some of our work really was stemmed from some national documents, like the nation's report card, and some topics that had been misunderstood and missed on NAEP tests. NSTA also helped us identify different topics, and NASA has its own list of some science misconceptions as well. So the key idea, the what that is focused in on is a particular science misconception. As we continue on and take a look at the next slide, what we know about conceptual theory is that it's really very important for students to kind of confront directly that misunderstanding. Because if they don't do that, no matter what they might learn, it's very likely that in future situations, they're going to go back to that original understanding. So by confronting the misconception head on, and then by replacing that missed understanding with hands-on experiences and some constructivist work to help really cement the correct information, we are really helping the students build a more conceptual understanding. And we're more likely to kind of pull out the misconception and replace that content with the correct information. The research also supports that it's very important, if you can, to give students some hands-on experiences, some use with modeling, something that is going to really build again on that constructivist theory. So it's important that when you debunk a myth, you have created a gap in that person's mind, you need to fill that gap with some hands-on experiences. That's the central focus behind what happens with the Spotlight Challenge.
So what are the steps to produce a Spotlight video? Well, Sharon went over the misconception. So it starts with students are presented with a misconception. Then they're asked to make a claim before demonstrating how to gather the evidence. The evidence can be gathered through observations, or you can engage students in actually setting up demonstrations and in hands-on investigations. And here are some examples here. This one in the lower left, the misconception that heat and temperature are the same thing. So the simple experiment with a glass of hot water and a glass of hot water and some food coloring is a real simple way that you can engage lots of students to investigate that misconception. The one in the top right corner, the misconception was Mars is red because it's hot. So this student demonstrates a way to show how metals rust to confront that misconception. And then below here, this is Jacob. He had dropped his key down a grate and thought he can get it out with a magnet because his misconception was all metals are attracted to magnets. So he then leads the viewer and how he investigates using different metals and coins to gather evidence about his claim.
So these are nature of science tenets that have been put out by Next Generation Science Standards. So thinking about what we've already told you about the Spotlight Design Challenge, how might NASA eClips Spotlight Challenge, how might that help you to address some of these tenets of the nature of science? If you would, just if you've got some ideas, please just put those in the chat. Love to hear what you're thinking. So the question is, how might the NASA eClips Spotlight Challenge, or what you know about it, how might that help you to address some of the major tenets of the nature of science? Well, we might come back to that, but just kind of keep in mind some of these tenets of the nature of science. And as we go through and you learn more about the Spotlight Design Challenge, we might be able to revisit this question again at the end.
So Betsy, why don't I switch to our website and show them what the website looks like that has the resources that they're going to use.
Sounds good.
And I'm going to switch here and start sharing again. So here is our website, and Betsy went over these resources at the top. And if you click here to student productions, that's the way, here's where all the spotlights are listed. But I'm going to go back one, and here is the Spotlight Design Challenge. And we have it set up so you can, students and teachers can go through the tabs to learn about the challenge. So on the front is the call. You know, what is the challenge? NASA wants your team to help improve science literacy by making a video that clears up or helps someone change their misconception about a topic. And here I talked earlier about, you have the misconception. You're going to capture evidence through questions and video. So as students take the misconception and make their claim, and as one of the first things I suggest you do is have students film the actual science demonstration, and then put all the pieces of their video together, which Sean's going to go over later, how to use Screencastify. We do have the criteria listed here. Just like our engineering design challenge. Everything's here. We ask that you add the NASA disclaimer because NASA's funding this project. We have logos included. We included research. So we give students an idea of what kind of demonstration to include. And then we also have some background information links in case students wanted to know more, and also if they needed to find pictures or images to put in their video. We have some directions about a 2-column script and storyboarding, and some filming basics from Khan Academy. Under create, this is probably what you would use the most, is the design challenge statement. So you can print this out, or students can fill it out online if you can use the PDF form. We have the problem board. So what do you know about the science misconception? And also, what do you know about filming or making a video? So they can fill out the problem board about that. Then brainstorm, some prompts to kind of guide students through this process is, think of a way to engage your audience, think of a setting, and think of some characters. Our research, when we researched the educational videos for students, dialogue helps students connect and learn the information better. One character has the right information, another character has the wrong information or the misconception. Then an easy way to help students figure out how to lay out their video is with this little storyboard. So, or this is also an example of the 2-column script. And so we have the beginning, which is about 30 seconds. Where in the real world where you see this problem or this misconception. Then in the middle is you're going to need these resources, these materials to do this demonstration to confront the misconception. And then a good summary at the end. I highly encourage, and it's very effective, that you have students, teams share their script and also their video drafts with other teams and get feedback. It's usually a time for rich discussion. Students ask the best questions because remember, these videos are being made for other students. So a great strategy to get in the habit of doing is have students do peer review and peer editing. Okay, and then it's time to publish. So once again, we have the rubric here to kind of help students do a check through, making sure they have all the components. And then we have a way to publish, a simple submission form, and a place where you can upload your video. If your students are 13 and above, they can fill out a media release form, especially if you're making a video that you would like for us to consider publishing on our website. The NASA media release form is included here, and you can just upload that as a PDF. So that's our simple form. Anything else I'm forgetting, ladies?
No, I think it's kind of clear to see that all of the materials that you really need are organized within this one space. And then at the bottom of this first page that Joan is showing you, currently we have some Mars misconceptions, some moon misconceptions, and cloud misconceptions that are the kind of the focus challenges. We also have lots of people who simply use our materials and our resources and come up with their own ideas for misconceptions. So we are welcome the fact that you might want to just use the materials that we've gathered for you and let your students come up with their own ideas and their own misconceptions. That way it could really slide right into whatever content you might be teaching now.
All right, let me get back to the presentation.
While you're doing that, Joan, one of the things that I think is so valuable is that about the Spotlight Design Challenge is the opportunity for students to start building a professional portfolio. If they've worked on a team and created a great video and it gets placed on the passes NASA review, gets placed on the NASA eClips website, and we write a lesson around it. Wow, that's pretty powerful, and a way for students to begin thinking about, after school, where am I going from here? Joan, go ahead, and if you don't mind, and we'll slide on to this next slide. What we're going to do is to show you some examples of how students have connected their video, their misconception to a real world example, so that it gets folks pulled into the video and engages the audience. This video will show a couple of different examples of how student teams have done that. And then at the end of the video, there'll be a couple of different examples of how viewers have engaged the audience in doing science. So it'll show the demonstrations that that some of the teams have come up with. So Joan, if you don't mind starting that.
Yo, where's the rainbow? I thought rainbows always come from water.
No, nothing happens when light passes through water. It's unaffected.
No, you're both wrong. Go to that building to find the answer you're looking for.
Do shadows from other planets cause the faces of the moon? Let's find out. Hey Diego, what do you think causes the faces of the moon? It's gotta be the shadow from Mars, right? No, it's gotta be the shadow from Mercury.
I'm so misunderstood. It's my mom's birthday. I'm gonna buy her a real star. Cousin, what you doing, girl? Oh, nothing. Just looking to buy a star. You know what I'm saying? A star? You can't buy a star. Yes, you can online. Facts, facts. So what color are you planning on getting? What do you mean? Stars are only one color, white. Wrong. Stars are actually different colors. Did that TV just talk to us?
If you still don't totally understand the phases of the moon, try this for yourself. All you need is a ball, like a baseball, to represent the moon, and a lamp to represent the sun. Your head will represent the earth. Go into a dark room with your materials and turn off all the lights. And don't forget the lamp. In order to do this, your Earth, Moon, Sun system needs to be set up as so. Let's see if we can get the Earth shadow to create some of the moon shadows. Here we are starting at a new moon. Since the moon has a slightly tilted orbit, the moon should be below eye level for the moon. The side of the moon facing you is entirely in the shadow. Remember, your head represents the Earth. Where is your head shadow? Is it possible for your head shadow to be on the moon for this phase? Nope. Therefore, the Earth shadow could not cause anything. If we fast
Scientists explore the universe. You need 5 paper towel tubes, 5 pieces of colored cellophane, yellow, green, red, blue, and violet, 5 rubber bands, and some images taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. Now let's get started. First, you'll need to cover each end of the paper towel tube with 1 piece of colored cellophane. Now, take a look at some of the images through one of the tubes. Does it look any different than with your naked eye? Try looking at it through some of the other colors. Which one gives you the clearest image? That.
All right. Thanks, everybody. So that is a great segue into why is Screencastify here? So as Joan, Betsy, and Sharon just shared, there's a lot of ways in which NASA eClips and the activities that were just presented can be executed in the classroom at a variety of grade levels. But one challenge that the 4 of us identified now, going back maybe even a couple months, was that, but how do you do it? And we know the why, we know the what, but then how do you actually accomplish this in the classroom for students of all ages to easily both create their videos, put them into an easily digestible or executable package, and then share them back with their teachers and or NASA as a whole. So that's where Screencastify comes in. Some of the folks on the call may or may not be familiar with Screencastify. If we could throw the poll up to actually see, that'd be awesome. If you wouldn't mind, anybody who is here that has used Screencastify, a variety of comfort levels, 1, not at all comfortable, maybe you've never used it, 10, maybe you're a daily power user who is quite familiar with Screencastify. This will kind of give us a pretty good indication of to what level and degree of detail we'll share as we go. But those of you who maybe are not familiar, we'll kind of give you the brief overview and then we'll jump into how it really works. Screencastify has 3 primary tools that allow you as a teacher and your students to create video, share video, and then assess the student learning or mastery of a given topic. And the best part is it is super easy to use. Anybody that's ever used Screencastify, I'm not a gambler, but if I did, I'd put money on the fact that our ease of use is one of the top few factors that our teachers really enjoy about Screencastify. And the way that actually comes across from the user experience is a recorder, a standalone editor, and then a submit tool for teachers to create video-based assignments that then allow students to click on a hyperlink and then submit a video back to the teacher. And that's actually where we're going to start, because I think that's probably the most applicable for how NASA eClips would play out in your classroom with students being able to submit videos back to you. So Joan, if you wouldn't mind letting me jump into the share, I'm actually gonna go hands-on and show, hopefully, if everything works appropriately, fingers crossed, show everyone how to actually do this. So for those of you that have used Screencastify in the past, you know that we are a Google Chrome extension. So when you think of Screencastify, you probably know that we live up here in your Google Chrome toolbar. And so if I wanted to make a video, all I would need to do is click on my Screencastify icon, and it would then pull up my options for screen recording, my browser tab, my desktop, or just my webcam. We'll come back to the webcam in a second because we'll actually tie that also into how a student may want to create an eClips assignment and then share it back to their teacher or a small group of students. So with that in mind, one of the really neat things about Screencastify is the submit functionality. So if I am a teacher who's going to roll this activity out with my entire class, I want to create the easiest and most efficient way for students to create videos and then send them back to me. And then as the teacher, I can both distribute those videos back to the singular student or small groups for them then to work off of. So we're going to create a new assignment, and we're actually all going to have the option to do it together if you so choose. So you'll notice that was 2 very quick clicks. I click new assignment, and then I click generate a link. Everything in Screencastify is hyperlink based. So whether you use Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, or no LMS at all, you have the ability to embed these hyperlinks anywhere that you would copy and paste a website. That could be in an email, it could be in a Google Doc, it could be anywhere. So for the sake of our example, we're just going to skip the Google Classroom integrated one, and we'll click on generate a link because that's a bit more universal. And then I need to ask myself as the teacher, what's really my point and purpose here? For the sake of this, we maybe want students to document, as we saw in our video examples, document like real life science. It's actually playing out. So we'll select screen recording, just kidding. We'll select webcam recording only. And when we do this, really neat function of webcam recording only is that it is device agnostic. So if you as the teacher sets this up and maybe your school has students that are able to utilize their own device or their cell phones, as long as you keep it as webcam only, all students, even with their phone, will be able to click on that link, record it on their phone, and then submit it back to you. So I'll select webcam recording only, and then I'm going to title it, and we'll just call it NASA eClips. And then for the instructions, why do you love science? Now here you can be as detailed or as brief as you want. Most people use Screencastify for instructional videos in the classroom. Let's say that you as the teacher, or as the 3 presenters previously just walked us through, maybe you wanted students to see a model of a great example before they went ahead and did their own thing. You could just copy and paste that hyperlink right here. You could go into your Screencastify account, click copy the link, paste it there and say, students, please watch this example before you execute or before you complete your own video submission. And so this is true both whether you're doing a speaking assessment or just having students do something on a Jamboard, any of the above. Students are wonderfully creative with how they use submit. So we will select next. And here now we have a couple options. Who can access the assignment? We're going to pick anyone with the link. So if I have 24 4th graders, I will just want them to be able to access it. Video privacy. For the sake of this, we're going to want students to be able to view just their own video, although you can certainly give them the option to view any video or view all, or excuse me, cannot view any, or they can view all. And that is going to depend upon the assignment, whether it's an assessment, some type of group work, or anything that else fits within your classroom. And maybe I want email notifications on this one, but like I was a high school teacher, so I would almost always select notifications off, as I'm not going to want 125 emails as each of these submissions roll in. So just at your discretion, make sure that toggle on is where you want it to be. And we'll click next. Now let's remember, this is all done in the context of NASA eClips and the Spotlight Challenge. So if I am a teacher and I send this out, I'm going to show you how easy it is. We're going to copy this link and I'm going to throw it in the chat for everybody. And if you click on this link, this will be the student experience that your students would see if they completed this particular assignment. So I'm going to do it with you for those people maybe that don't want to submit a video, which is totally cool, completely optional. So you'll see that this is the title of my assignment, as well as the instructions. This again is the student experience. It's my assignment will record my microphone and just my webcam. If I was recording my screen, it would also indicate that it was going to be recording my screen. We'll click record. And now I have an external monitor. So, oh, just kidding, because I select webcam, it's not going to do that. So now this video is being recorded. This is the actual student piece that they're going to submit back to the teacher. So if I was out in the world, I would be able to document some type of science example, whether you saw in the ones that we viewed as a group. They could show, if you were a math teacher and said, show me 4 90-degree angles in your house, the student could walk around with their Chromebook or with their phone and show those to you. Same thing for the Spotlight Challenge. Now here we'll click stop recording. Something went wrong because I knew it was going to do that as I did it because of the way that I set it up, but that's okay. So when you submit that, as those submissions come in, where they're going to live, and this is the really neat part of how, like, just universal it is to use Screencastify is that it will automatically create a Screencastify submit folder in your Google Drive. And so you'll see I did not go to my Google Drive during the course of our example there. It automatically created this folder titled NASA eClips. And so as people, if you would have submitted that assignment and if mine would have worked, it would have showed up as Sean Conway and then the date that it was submitted. So if you're that teacher in your classroom and you require everyone to capture a video, this is a really easy way to both document who turned it in, but then also see the amazing creative things that students are doing on their own. This can be applicable to not just eClips and Spotlite, of course, but really any and all teaching activities that you would want students to document via video. That's the first step. Now, that's the part that I think is really neat with how kind of accessible video is, but then let's put it all together because that's, I think, where the power really comes in. If I was a student that went through and created my assignment and I was already done with my video, maybe I wanted to create an introduction for myself and for my project. So I'm going to do that with all of you now. I click on my extension and I'm going to want to select my desktop and I want to embed my webcam so that my teacher can see my face. And I'll click record. And so at this point now, it's going to put my webcam in the corner, although it is an option that I can move that around. And this is where that screen share choice showed up. I'm going to select my monitor here and you'll hear the same countdown. You'll see our annotation tools pop up down here at the bottom. And if I was a student that wanted to talk about a different part of science that I wanted to either prove right or prove wrong, I could start at a website that started with that. I could grab my pen tool. I could go through and I could identify specific parts of that page. But for the sake of our example, I'll kind of keep this part brief. Let's say I did my introduction and this is where I was going to start my video submission tool and I'll select stop. And now it's automatically going to pull up our video management page here. This will then let me as the student title the video anything that I want. We'll save it and then I'll open it up in my editor because what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the 4 clips that you just saw. We'll probably only do 1 or 2, but we'll actually add those on to the end because what I just made was my introduction, but I want to take my other video clip. Maybe that's in an MP4. Maybe I did that on my iPhone and I didn't do it for via Screencastify Submit. Wherever you did it, totally cool. They're both going to work just the same way. So I click add media and then I'm going to click upload. And those clips that we all just watched as a group are already downloaded into my computer. I can pick one of those. I can pick all 4. In this case, just for time, I'll select the smallest one and I will click open. And now it's going to process my video and it's going to place it in Screencastify's editor directly after the introduction that I just made in front of all of you. So this is true for any video file that you have, whether that's an MP4 or a .mov, you can slot these into your Screencastify editor and then separate them by title slides. So you saw on the example that we just looked at, this is now what we did as a group. So I could do my intro, I could add in my example that I created, maybe my partner did it on their phone, emailed it to me, I downloaded it on my computer, and then I upload that. So the group part that Joan, Betsy, and Sharon were just is really seen through each level of using Screencastify during the course of this challenge. But I'm not quite done yet. I'll throw in one more thing and then I will kick it back to the group. We want to be able to title this so that people know what they're watching. So I would go to add media and click on my title slide. And this is where it's now going to pull up a really clear-cut separation for me, just like I would with slides or docs, be able to call out what it is that they're looking at. And then I can do that here. I can do it after the clip or before the next one, and then add as many of those title slides in as I need to so that you can really just be able to have the clear-cut distinction between my introduction, here's my proof, and then any other clips that you would want to add as you continue on throughout the course of that project.
Sean, I just wanted to make note. Pat asked if they take videos with their phone, how do they upload from their phone to Screencastify? And I'm hoping I responded correctly that you had just mentioned that you could just email the video and then save it in that Google folder. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so it's a great question too, Pat. But Sharon is correct, is that so if I'm the student who's doing the video on my phone, what that meant was that it had to be created as a submit assignment. So Screencastify currently is only a Google Chrome extension. A student can't just proactively create a recording video like I just did here on their phone. It's only going to be in response to a submit assignment. So in the case of your question, it would then go to the teacher's Google Screencastify submit folder, and then the teacher could share that out if they had groups of 2, 3, 4 students, just like you would share out a Google Doc or a presentation. You would click on it, and then you could share that back out with the students. But yeah, really good question. All right, well, that was Screencastify in a nutshell. I will throw it back to Sharon, Betsy, and Joan, but thanks so much. And I will stop sharing just right now.
Well, don't stop right yet. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure, can you, if you have the video finished, how do you publish it or export it?
Great question. And so when you are finished, say we did all of our stuff, we worked as a group, we really compiled and we made sure it looked perfect. If we wanted to, we could add in different Zoom functions. We could crop out all that noise that we're not going to want to appear with my toolbar and my different stuff at the bottom in my doc. We could add different text on it, all these really neat editing features. But let's say, to your question, Joan, that we're all finished and we're ready to go now. We're going to click export, and then I have two choices. I can export just as a straight MP4, or I can export as Screencastify. MP4, I think, is pretty straightforward. It would just be an MP4 file that you could then do what you wanted with it. But once you export back to Screencastify, you have a few other options. And so now it's going to pull up a new video management page that's going to give me the ability to share and send this out where you want it to. So this copy watch page link, as we mentioned, is the same version of the video, but with all of my ads and edits. So I now can open this in Screencastify. For those people that are familiar, you could, if you wanted to take it to the next level, you could even add in multiple choice or true false questions as you went through this video for people to actually be engaged. I could go here, I could add in my interactive questions for accessibility purposes. I could click on captions and we could add captions. But once we hit here, now I'm finished. I copy my share link and then I would send this back to my teacher. I could send this if my teacher created like a shared Google Doc that every student had to put and paste their link into a completed assignment with everybody on there. We could do it that way. If you had an assignment that was whether through your LMS or something like that, you could just copy and paste it, because again, since it's hyperlink based, anywhere that you copy and paste, you could put the link there and then the teacher could access via that hyperlink.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions that are applicable before I throw it back to you all? Jessica, yeah, great question. So all the features, there is no feature difference for Screencastify, whether you're using the free or the paid version. Currently, the only change is the time limit. Right now, all the features are the same, regardless of whether you're using the free or the paid. All right, well then I will throw it back to all of you. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's me. Let me move on to the next one. Thank you, Sean. Very simple and easy to do. So once you have student videos and you submit them to NASA eClips, what do we do with them? We do a couple things with them. We created a NASA Spotlight YouTube gallery where we put videos that are submitted, and that's for all, and they're at different stages of publishing. And at some may not be exactly the way they should be, but we want students to share with each other and see what others have done. We do take some of the videos and we write a lesson plan around them. We create a 5E lesson where the student video becomes the engage and explore piece of the video. Then we publish the video on our website and we partner with Nearpod. And here I just wanted to highlight that at the end of last year, we had almost 400,000 students who had joined a NASA eClips lesson on Nearpod. So the students' videos are making a difference in science learning and helping other kids learn science. So what's next? Well, we need you. We need you and your students to help communicate science to others. So we want to have your students make a video that would get other students to explore misconception, learn how to make a claim and collect evidence so that they're not just getting, someone's telling them something and they're just taking it at face value. You want them to learn those skills where they know how to verify what someone else has said. And the steps to do that are, you can scan here, and we'll also send you a follow-up link where you can register if you need more information. Sharon, Betsy, or I are here for you. You can use it as an, like I said before, performance assessment in your classroom, or if you're running a summer camp, we have had several camps use this also at their setting. So I've been working with the farm educators, and they are coming up with some misconceptions related to the farm. So we just want students to do science and learn how to communicate science. And any questions, or Sharon or Betsy, do you have something
I
else
was
to
just
add?
going to piggyback on what you've said, Joan. We are truly here for you, and we're going to make sure that we put our email addresses into the chat so that you know how to reach us and connect with us. We really have also enjoyed over the years engaging with students and acting as the client, zooming in to be able to kind of do that charge to your class, to let them know that we're all classroom educators. We all know that in our classroom time, that my students behaved and performed differently if they were doing it with others. So this is just that opportunity for that real world authentic experience. As Betsy mentioned, to start their portfolio, to be able to say that they are developing some resources that can be embedded and used for other students, or to simply be engaged at this creating level. As Sean pointed out, kind of the what is the misconception in the NASA Spotlight. The why is because of the importance of making sure that we confront those misconceptions. And then by being able to piggyback and work with Sean and Screencastify to see the how, to make it easier to do. We're just very excited that we have this new partnership and that we are able to support you in your efforts to be able to bring this experience to your students. What kinds of questions might you have, either for the eClips team or for the Screencastify team? Well, again, you see our email addresses if you want to reach out to us directly. The NASA eClips website is also, Betsy just posted that into the chat. This particular this webinar has been recorded. So if there are pieces that you want to go back and review, then it's going to be at your fingertips. I have no doubt that Sean is also available to help you and support you in any way that he can. Don, thank you for joining us. We appreciate the fact that you guys are very busy, and it's at the end of a long day. So we are so thankful that you've taken some time to find out a little bit about this particular project and how you might be able to bring this to your students.
And I can't wait to see your student submissions. So looking forward to that.
Well, again, thank you for joining us for this evening's webinar. You please reach out. Oh, Stephen, you're a student. You were wondering if there was a way you could get the information on how to use Screencastify. Sean, so what would you think is the best approach for Stephen to take?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Stephen. That's awesome. The first thing would just go to screencastify.com. We have a lot of really easy to digest videos there. And if you go under courses, we have a student-specific course that's only 10 minutes long, and it gives you the ins and outs of how students use Screencastify in the classroom. We found that to go really well, and the best part is it's only 10 minutes. So that would be my recommendation. And thanks for being here, Stephen.
And Stephen, tomorrow morning, go in and talk with your teacher if your teacher's not with you, and let them know about this cool project. Thank you for joining us, Stephen. Well, again, we know it's the end of a long day. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here to help and support. The NASA Spotlight Challenge is one of the projects that NASA eClips is involved with, but also please take a look at all of the videos and the educator resources that are found at the website. And it is our mission to do whatever we can to help educators bring exciting and engaging opportunities to your classroom. Thank you, Robin, for joining us. Thank you, Sally, too.
And I think Betsy's dropping in our emails
Yeah,
again.
I'm doing that right now.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you. Also, please note that there'll be a follow-up email to all who registered and for all who joined us tonight. And then those email addresses will be incorporated in that email. So again, Betsy, Joan, and I love any opportunity to get our kid fix and to be able to work with students. And technical support. I suppose you may want to wrap up our recording. Thank you, guys.
Mhm.